Morning.
How are you guys?
You got yourself.
Knox.
So just before we get started, it's on the form and everything. It's just a heads up that we do record our consultations as well as like in-person lessons, board and train videos, daycare and train videos. So it's just a heads up on that. But go ahead and just fill me in with any important information that you think I should know about. And then as you go along, I'll be taking notes and then we'll go from there.
Cool.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, so we got basically a 1-year-old golden doodle pup. He's like decent, I feel like he's appropriate, I guess, at this stage in terms of, he's got like some of the basics pretty good, like sit and stay. I think the biggest things that we're trying to work on are jumping. Like he's a big dog, he's about 70 pounds. And so he gets really excited when people come in the door. And unfortunately, he'll kind of like jump up on them. And like, I think with smaller dogs is okay, but I think with a bigger dog, we're really trying to like work on jumping. And that's like one of our big things. And then I think the second big thing that we're trying to do also is leash training. He's honestly not very good on the leash.
Okay.
We have a pinch collar for him and sometimes use a harness too. And he just really, really pulls. And so that's definitely something we're looking to work on. And then we're kind of looking at you guys because we are actually going to be getting married soon and going to be gone for 2 weeks. And so we were thinking of doing like maybe either your 1 week or 2 week board and train course. We're not exactly sure. We saw the one of the 2 week one is like off leash, and then the other one's on leash. I'm not sure if we could do off leash in the city, but either way, we're up for kind of seeing what you guys think.
Got it. Okay. And then, sorry, what's your dog's name?
Knox.
Knox. N-O-X?
Yep.
K-N-O-X.
Okay. You forgot the K.
What?
You forgot the K.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'm like, John, that's not how you spell it.
You've had him since puppy, right?
Yeah, we got him in May last year, so we've had him about a year now.
Cool. Anything else?
We've had a few. We're not really that concerned about aggression, but he gets really like excited to see other dogs. And I think some of the smaller dogs get kind of anxious around him because he's so big. Mm-hmm. So then as soon as they like bark at him or get a little tense, he gets reactive back. And then with some dogs, he's perfectly fine. So that's another thing that we were originally concerned about. After we got him neutered, that seems to be better. But something else that we want to kind of keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So he's only basically escalating, right? Because he's usually just pulling you guys, right?
Yeah.
But he'll escalate if another dog becomes reactive to him. He'll become reactive. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know that we've ever seen him like initiate the reactive behavior. It's just when other dogs do it first, and then he's like, I don't know, then he gets all worked up.
I think the last thing I thought of is that he's been lately stealing socks and shoes and like running around the apartment. So we're trying to like get him to drop it.
A drop it command would be very helpful.
More of a game at this point.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's pretty much everything.
Okay. So pretty just like general obedience type stuff, nothing too
nothing too intense.
So you use a prong collar for your walks currently now, or do you use prong collars and then you switch off, or what do you do for your walks?
We mostly are using like the pinch collar with the prongs. We really use that all the time. We were originally starting him on a harness, but he was still pulling quite a lot, so we switched to the pinch collar, and he like is not phased. Like he still pulls.
Got it. What's the do you know where you got it from?
My mom got it for us somewhere. I have it here.
Yeah, it was just like a hand-me-down pinch collar. I don't know where it's from originally.
Got it. Okay. Because like there's like different sizes as well out there.
Yeah, hang on, we're grabbing it. I don't know if it will help you to even see it, but
It's this guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty big already. So like hold it up again. Let me see. Yeah. When you put it on him, does it stay high up or does it kind of hang down low?
I feel like we kind of just tighten it, and then I feel like it actually fits him decently.
It's hard because he's so fluffy. It's like,
yeah. And then this is the guy that pulls, like when we want to pull it.
Got it. I see. Okay. Yeah, usually we use a brand called Herm Springer. That's our go-to because the prong collars, the way Herm Springer has them like set up is that you get 3 plates. There's the chain part here, right, with the ring and everything. And then there's 2 plates, and then the prong, and then there's a plate in the middle on the top. So it's like this, right? So all the prongs are going like the opposite way towards each other, so that when you get pressure, it's closing in, like the pressure it's distributing is like very equal. So it just closes in correctly. There's nothing wrong with your prong collar. It's just not our preferred one. It's also, the prongs are pretty big as well. So the bigger the prongs are, the duller the pressure is going to be with the collar there. So it could be another issue, but it's also it's not out of the ordinary for a dog to just kind of blow off the prong collar. It usually happens with like, you know, breed wise, it'll be like your bully breeds. And funny enough, it'll be like usually like the doodles or like the golden retrievers and labs, just because they're pretty tough dogs as well, and they're also really happy-go-lucky. So then when you're trying to like give them a correct with the prong, they're just like still wiggling, like what's going on? So I think that makes sense. But also, if he gets to a point where he's just becoming really engaged in like another dog or another person or whatever it is, and you're trying to tug with your leash to get him to move forward, if your strongest leash pop, right, or your strongest correction is a 7 out of 10 and he's at a 10, then you're not going to be able to override the brain in that moment. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. There's like, prong collar is great, but sometimes he just blows it off, or sometimes it's good in the beginning, but now he just doesn't care about it anymore. So that's a very common thing to hear. Any questions about that?
No, that makes sense.
But what was I say? So it's a good thing you went to prong collar, because there have been clients where they continue to use a harness, and then what you're seeing now can definitely what's the word, like escalate in general. So like usually it kind of starts with just like the pulling and they're just kind of interested, and then over time, if this doesn't get addressed, then your dog will become the reactive one on site because of all the frustration that they're holding. They just need to like let it out somehow. So that's where you get like the barking dogs and all that stuff, just because they're so frustrated. And they could want to play. Like it's not like reactivity for me doesn't mean aggression, because it's like, well, why is this dog barking? Like what's the goal here, right? So some dogs bark because they're just very vocal dogs and they're frustrated and they want to play really bad. But sometimes you get to a point where the dog is so frustrated they don't even want to play, and that's where you'll get like the I don't know if you've ever seen it, like if an owner's getting dragged by their dog as they're barking, they're just so frustrated and they go to the dog and they just bite the dog immediately. It's because they're releasing their frustration. So dogs are very mouth-based animals. So that's why when they're stressed, they do the heavy panting. And anxious dogs tend to drool a lot. When they're tense or stressed, they close their mouth because they're thinking of what to do, right? So they're very mouth-based, and they also release frustration through the mouth. So like for humans, we have stress balls, right? So for stress, we just squeeze the ball. If you've ever seen those videos where like, you know, a soldier comes home from, you know, being deployed and everything like that, and the dog is so happy, they run away, they grab a ball and they come back because they need to release that frustration, because owner has taught the dog not to jump, right? Because it needs to go somewhere.
Right. That's kind of like, we've been working on him not jumping when we first come home, and so he'll like immediately grab a shoe and like run to the couch with it, and like will not, like, we were trying to get him to stop grabbing shoes every time we come home, but that's just his, like, he needs to have something in his mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Grabbing shoes, jumping, pulling on the leash, these are all symptoms of what's called overstimulation. Overstimulated dogs are very common. It's very easy to address it, but it sounds like he's just very overstimulated and doesn't really know how to handle like his excitement, right? So it's not about like learning. I mean, it is a good command to know, like leave it or no jumping. It's more about what if he's just calm, there will be no jumping. There will be no getting the shoes, right? So what needs to happen is addressing like the root of everything, which is the overstimulation, which we'll talk about how we address that and how like what tools can help them there. Any questions so far?
No, that makes sense.
Jumping, reactive and reactive steals things. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's what I'm getting from. That's what I'm getting from hearing you guys, is that it sounds like he's just overstimulated. Like I said before, this can turn into other behaviors if it's practiced for a longer time. So it's good that you're kind of moving fast with it. You know, prong collar, then casting and training. That's good for you guys.
Yeah.
And plus he's probably just going to fill out a little bit more, but he's pretty much that's his size, right?
Yeah, he doesn't really feel that much more in the last like 3 months or so.
Got it. Okay. So overstimulation, like I said, is very common. It all just comes from not getting the proper amount or proper discipline in his language. So the reason why I say prong collar is a good step forward is because prong collar when you're using it, you're using physicality. You're giving physicality to your dog. It's a physical tool. The way the prongs are shaped and everything are supposed to mimic a dog bite, right? So you're technically biting Knox when you're pulling on the prong collar, right? Dogs have been receiving physicality since they've been 3 to 4 weeks old, right? There's a really popular YouTube video where it's a Korean retriever, it's a mother. She's entering her playpen, you might have seen it, and there's like 8 or 7 puppies and they all run to her. And then you start to hear her growl, you see her show her teeth, and then she snaps like 3 puppies, and then you hear them whimper and everything, and then everyone just turns around, walks away, and they lay down, and it's just quiet within seconds, just like that, right? So just from that young age, boom, they've been getting disciplined pretty harshly from their mothers. So that's why whenever we hear, oh, it's just a puppy, you can't correct puppies, just let them, go through the phase. You absolutely can't correct a puppy, right? It's something they understand right off the bat. It's just people have a hard time doing it because they're fluffy and they're cute and they feel bad doing it, right? But it's their language. That's how they communicate. Dogs can't tell each other, hey buddy, you're playing too rough with me, can you go over there? They can't say off, leave it, right? They don't give each other treats. They don't put each other in timeouts. They also don't neuter, spay, or give each other drugs as well, right? It's just, you're going to be like this, you're going to get this consequence, right? So that's why I like the dog park, when dogs are playing rough and it starts to escalate, one dog might take it personally and then they give a correction. But since it's already escalated so much, right, that other dog is like, whoa, this is something else. This is a fight. And that's where they get the dog fights. Versus what appropriate correction should be is it should be a one and done type deal, right? So like if Knox was running around and like he ran to a dog and the dog just snapped at him, they'd be like, whoa, okay, I'm gonna go do something else, right? There was like a conversation that happened. Like you don't run to me with all that energy, right? You have to approach me calmly, but right now we'll figure that out later, right? So prong collar is a good tool for those reasons. Some cons, which seems like you ran into them already, which is dogs override it. You can teach heel, stay, sit down, come, place a prong collar, but you don't have any off leash control. So once you take that leash off, you've lost connection with your dog. We love positive reinforcement. We use positive reinforcement all the time. We use it only for puppies who are 6 months and under, for like puppy training, to teach them the fun stuff and the basics and everything. And we'll incorporate in our big boy, big girl training as well. But there's a lot of training methods and a lot of tools out there: gentle leaders, slip leashes, slip chains, harnesses. But the reason why we don't use harnesses is, like you said, dogs just pull more with the harness. So the reason why he's pulling more is because dogs have what's called opposition reflex. So if you pull back, it makes them want to go forward. So if you pull left, they want to go right. If you pull right, they want to go left. And if you pull forward, they want to go backwards. Harnesses are meant for pulling. So huskies are wearing harnesses. Horses wear harnesses. We also put harness protection trained dogs to create frustration. So it's good that you moved away from there. But yeah, then there's very low ceilings to these tools. Positive reinforcement is about like a 10%, 50% thing, because the issue you're gonna run into there is if Knox sees another dog and you're telling, yeah, turkey right here across his face, he's thinking, I can get that turkey later. I've been getting turkey all day, in fact, but this dog, I might not be able to meet later. So I want to meet the dog now. So that's where owners kind of run into issues there as well with using positive reinforcement to do this type of training, because positive reinforcement is only good for things you want to see. It is not good for things you do not want to see, right? Any questions so far?
No.
Cool. So then it brings us to electronic collars. You guys are familiar with the e-collars, and we train with them, correct?
Yeah.
Have you ever used one before or have seen one?
No.
My parents had one for their dog, but rarely used it.
Got it. Okay. So e-collar isn't always like the last resort. So you're going through all your tools and everything, and you're slowly figuring out these aren't working for this dog. The dog is on a different level with his energy and excitement. Usually, if we get a puppy who's reached 6 months, right away, e-collar. So we don't need to do prong collar, then e-collar. That is only needed for puppies younger than 6 months, just because at 6 months, the brain has developed enough, right, to understand this sort of new type of pressure. But as soon as puppies hit 6 months, they're ready for that type of training. The reason why we jump straight into e-collar is because we already know that e-collar can get us to 100% or 90% of reliable obedience up to off-leash obedience. So it's like, if I know what the success rate with all these tools are, and I already know e-collar can get me straight to the point, I'm going to go for e-collar instead of messing with these other things. So it's like if a good example is like if a plumber comes over your house and he's like, I can do it this way, which might not work, or this way, which will work, like 90%. It's like, you're going to choose this way, right, to get it done and have it being successful. So e-collar is commonly called shock collar, right? We don't call them shock collars, it's like a negative word there. So we, remote collar, e-collar. It's electric, yes, but it's not electricity. So it's not like flowing to the dog's body when you're using it. It's just a collar, and there's one right here, actually. It's just going to be a collar, and there's 2 contact points and on the box here. And then whatever those 2 contact points are touching is what it'll be contracting. So it's just going to look like this. This is a bigger one here, but that's what it looks like. Have you guys ever been to like a physical therapist or like had a chiropractor work with you guys?
No.
So their technology, they have a machine like called a TENS unit, like STEM. They also call it STEM. That same technology is what the e-collars feel like and what is on the e-collar. So I think we had a physical therapist as a client, and they said like it's basically just like a mini TENS unit. Like it's just like a little like contraction, right? So that same technology that's used on humans is also used on the collars for our dogs. The brand we use is called Dogtra. Jesse's been using Dogtra for more than half his career. He's tried other brands as well, but Dogtra provides a like duller stem, right? Other brands he's noticed are a little more sharper. So he's noticed the dogs react differently to different collars, and some of them become a little bit more anxious or more like they overcompensate things. But Dogtra has gotten him the best results from the dogs and everything. They look good when they're out the Doctor brand. They're waterproof. You get a mile long range to half a mile. They're just rechargeable. You don't need batteries for them. Very easy, very simple to use. You just have your remote with the button and then the dial, and then you're on and off, and then to vibrate and all that stuff. This one goes to Doctras go to 127. So in increments of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 127 levels of stimulation. There are other brands out there, right, that maybe go up to 8. So their maximum is 8 of levels of stimulation. So don't think that we have 100 more levels of power. Their 8 is equal to our 127. We just have so many more numbers to be more specific to the dog's personality, the breed, the scenario we're in, because if you're using that level 8 e-collar, right, 5 maybe is too much for Knox, and then he's like yelping. But then 4, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like then it's like, which one are you going to choose?
Right.
So that's why we also like Doctras, because it gives us many options, and we can find a very specific number that is having Knox become very responsive to it. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I said, 6 months we started. We've done younger than that. We've done old dogs, tripods, blind dogs, deaf dogs, aggressive, fearful, nervous. We've trained dogs with e-collar dogs that were afraid to walk, right? And this helps them, right? Because you're thinking like it sounds like it would work against that because you're shocking your dog, right? But it actually motivates them to actually do the walk, and then they're able to do like off leash stuff, right? It was like a client who actually had that issue, and now she has her dog off leash everywhere she goes.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions about the e-collar?
Yep. Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. So how this would help with your case is, again, tackling that overstimulation. So what will really help Knox is giving him a job to do on your walks. With overstimulated dogs, how they are outside is they're always looking like they're looking for something. Like they're like, what's that? What's the smell? They're like in their own world. Another symptom of overstimulation would be, I've heard clients say, I take my dogs like for 4 walks a day, I do treadmill with them, and I play frisbee, and they still want to play. They still want the attention. They still have energy left. Again, it's still a sign of overstimulation, because physically, yes, your dog is getting the exercise, but mentally nothing's happening. So then they're just wired all day. So the heel command would definitely be the first thing we want to teach Knox, and that will help tackle the overstimulation. So our heel command, again, is our walking command. Our version of heel is walk with me, stay with me, and sit when I stop. So when you take 5 steps with Knox, Knox takes 5 steps. If you take 10, he takes 10. And then when you come to a stop, he's to automatically sit with his shoulder parallel to your leg with a loose leash in any environment. That's how focused he needs to be on your walks. Mm-hmm. So when we're teaching this, the reason why we teach this, this is the first exercise we teach, is because, one, Knox needs to understand what the e-collar is before we dive into no jumping or don't steal that sock, right? So he'll learn in this exercise that this feeling on my neck eventually goes away, and that, oh, I'm the one that's in control of the feeling, right? Because Knox is not going to know where it's coming from. So dogs don't look at you if you're pressing the button, because there's nothing connected to you in the feeling. Versus prong collar, right? When you give them a leash pop or a correction or anything like that, dogs tend to just look straight at you because they see the leash attached to you, so they can see it's directly coming from you. So dogs tend to think it's just the universe. I had a client say it was Big Brother, whatever you want to call it. But it's something that's just happening. And they're learning that they are the one in control of it. So it's nothing that's confusing. It's just like, okay, if I do this, it goes off. So I know what to do now, right? So the reason we teach heel, having him understand what e-collar is. The other reason we teach heel is to address your leash walking. right? With the pulling and everything like that, we're teaching him that that there are now consequences for your actions now that are going to be in his language. The third thing we're addressing is the overstimulation. So this is very mentally draining, right? To keep your shoulder on your leg for the whole walk. It's very tiring and it's a lot of focus. So then you'll start to see him become relaxed because he's almost like, oh, this is what I have to do, right? So he's not going to be always looking for something. It's going to be, this is what you need to do, buddy. And then he's like, you'll start to see him kind of be more relaxed for your walks. You'll find that doing short 3 walks during the day is more effective than 3-hour-long walks or whatever it is, right? So having him understand what the e-collar is, your leash pulling, the overstimulation, and then the is he just usually distracted by dogs or is it people as well?
Anything.
Got it. Is there like one that's really like that stands out? Is it the dogs usually?
Dogs are probably a skateboarder going down.
He's gotten better with that, but yeah.
He'll go wild.
Got it. So for those things, we're also addressing that with the heel command. So the idea is, because owners would wonder, how is obedience going to fix the engagement with other things or like reactivity if the dog has any? It's not the obedience we're focused. It's not the obedience that we're trying to make our main focus on. It's the discipline and the psychology behind the heel, right? Because if your heel is good and it's important to Knox, technically nothing else should matter because he's more worried about keeping the shoulder to your leg. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we have like a kind of like a spectrum of how everything progresses with reactivity. First thing that goes away that we do not need to address directly is if there's any distractions with humans. So if you're noticing he's distracted with humans, that might just go away on its own as the training goes along. We don't need to do anything with that. Yeah. After humans, it's usually like calm dogs, then it's skateboarders, rollerbladers, runners, joggers, and then other reactive dogs, so dogs who are carrying energy with them. And then it's the last thing that you can't really what's the word, expect is like you turn the corner as a dog there. That's like the last one because you can't expect that. But what else? Any questions so far?
No.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. We have never heard of how do I phrase like personality changes, right? So owners would sometimes think, is my dog gonna hate me or is my dog gonna be sad, right? Or like I still want them to be friendly to people, are they gonna hate people, or how's it gonna work? We've never noticed that. Your Knox is still gonna be goofy and wiggly and all that stuff. It's just gonna be under control. That's all. What else? A common question owners have asked in the past would be, how often is the e-collar on? Is it on 24/7? Or like, what if we do the program? Do I still need it after that? Or how does that work? So the e-collar is on always on your walks, right? It's not that you're always using it, but it's going to be there more for like emergencies. So like for my dogs or Jesse's dogs, the e-collars are always on our walks, and we maybe press the button maybe like 2 times, 3 times a month, right? It's just there in case. In the beginning, that's when you're going to be using it a lot because you're getting used to it, the practicing and everything like that. But eventually, we should start to use it less, because in the future, after your program, if you're still using it a lot, then there's something that needs to be changed in the training. What I mean by just in case, I'm speaking about those moments where, let's say you're walking on a busy street and then a car crash happens, a car backfires, a firework goes off, and it's not even the 4th of July, something sudden that maybe causes Knox to become flighty, to go into flight mode. We've heard a lot of horror stories where dogs pull owners to the ground, leashes slip out, collars break, prong collars, aren't connected properly and they slip out. We've heard a lot of stories. So when Knox is in flight mode, he's literally thinking kill or be killed. He's running for his life. So sometimes if you say Knox come when he's in that mode, it might not work because he's thinking I gotta run, I gotta get out of here. So then you have your remote to override the brain in that moment to make him do the 180 and come back to you, right? In the home, if it's just you guys, and as we go through the training, he's becoming more calm and relaxed, and there's no reason to use the e-collar, then you don't need to put it on. If you're gonna have guests come over, and you know he might get excited, right? Collar him up 30 minutes prior, address whatever that is needing to be addressed, and if you find that he's relaxed throughout the stay of the rest of the stay of the guest, you can go ahead and take it off. Or maybe you notice he's done jumping. He's not really, he's learning boundaries and you don't need to put it on. But then you have a guest who's maybe afraid of dogs, right? You'd collar him up, give her space, him or her, and then again, keeping it on if you want. That's just up to you guys. Off leash stuff, dog parks definitely want to keep it on. But yeah, in short, it's just on when you need it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Being also, if you're gonna have it on for more than an hour, at that hour mark to an hour and a half, you want to make sure that you're constantly rotating your e-collar, because there's 2 metal probes stuck in the neck for like a period of time. So it's not the stimulation that's going to be causing pressure sores. It's just the 2 metal probes being here for a long time. If he's going to go swimming, you can still have the e-collar on. It's waterproof, but you want to switch this or just check on him because now there's moisture in it. So then the pressure sores will happen quicker. Same thing if he's playing with dogs. We had a client who her dog was playing with a group of dogs, and then there was just drool everywhere on the dog's neck. And then they took the e-collar off and there's 2 big red pressure sores, and the dog never gets pressure sores. So it's most likely from the moisture that was being in here, right? So making sure you're rotating your e-collar. Any other questions?
No,
what
I
about
think
that? I
go
think
ahead.
just about the like 2 different.
Program?
We were looking at like the 1 week versus 2 week. And just like how many hours. I think I read that it was like 4 to 6 hours of training a day. Because we're looking at doing boarding training.
Okay. So with the difference between the 2 week and the 1 week would be that we're not really we're just teaching the foundation. We're just basically getting the foundation in Knox, and then you would have to do the rest, right? So he'll learn all the commands, but he might not get enough repetitions, or it might not be as solid as like a 2 week board and train, right? So with the 2 week board and train, you'll get 2 videos. So for every week you do, you get a video, an hour-long video. The first video you get are the introductory sessions or the commands. So that is going to be him learning heel, stay, sit down, come, heel, stay, sit down, come, place. Are you familiar with place?
Sorry.
Are you familiar?
I was distracted. Sorry. Am I familiar with place? Yeah. He's not very good at it. We've tried training him and he's good.
Got it. Okay. So he'll learn all the 6 commands in the first video. The second video you get will be us transferring Knox to the long leash phase, where we're transferring him to a 30-foot long leash, letting him know that, hey, buddy, you have all this room now. So make all the mistakes you can. So then he learns that, okay, even if I'm 30 feet away, I still need to do so-and-so command. He'll also be getting training walks. Like you said, once we teach the commands in the video first, then everyone does their repetitions throughout the day. So he's getting trained from, I think the first sessions happen around like between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. Okay. And the last session we'll have is before close, which is probably going to happen at like 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. So he's getting worked all day. The regular daycare dog, how their day looks is an hour activity and an hour rest. Since Knox is going to be a board and train, he's going to get a lot more activity. So he'll either be training on the training floor, on a training walk. We have treadmills here too, so he might be able to do treadmill time. The place, right? He'll be doing duration work on those, where he has to lay on a bed. I don't care if he sits, stands, lay down, chewing a bone, doesn't matter. He just needs to remain on the bed, and the beds are in the middle of the floor. So he's seeing people walk in, dogs play, there's 3 playpens around him. So he's seeing everything kind of happen, and he needs to learn how to basically remain calm and like staying on the bed.
Gotcha.
If he's not training, treadmilling, duration work, he might be playing with other dogs. So he's getting a lot of activity when he's a board and train. But if he's not doing any of those things, then he's probably gonna just be resting in the kennel, which rarely happens with the board and trains because we push him a lot.
Yeah.
What else?
This is kind of like a soft question, but the dogs like enjoy it, right? I don't want him to be miserable for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So no one likes being disciplined. No one likes being told what to do. So it's normal to see for that first, let's say you were watching the first video, and you start to notice he's relaxing or being more calm, right? Don't think of like the calmness as like depression or sadness. He's just becoming more relaxed, because you can't have an excited dog that's not going to jump, steal socks, right? You can't have an excited dog who's not going to do those behaviors, right? So in result of that, the calm dog, right, the more passive dog will give you the better, how do I remember? I think I'm wording this wrong. You can't have both, right? It's just, maybe you start to introduce little things back, right? Like sometimes owners like the jumping, but having it controlled. So maybe you start to control the jumping. Maybe you cue it. Maybe you do like a little 2 pats here, and then he jumps and he's great, and he's learning to not jump on anyone else but you guys. Then that's great. But then let's say you start to do that, and then now he's back to jumping on other people. Then it's like, okay, well, he can't jump on anything. Right. So it's just about kind of figuring out like what is causing him to just become super excited, right? So in the beginning, you might notice that he is a little like maybe stressed. Maybe he starts to shake, right? That's all normal, because no one is being disciplined or told what to do. You also might see, let's say we're training him and he becomes flighty. He's trying to get away from the trainer, or like just trying to get away from this. E-collar isn't making Knox flighty. Knox was already flighty, right? That is just his stress response in the moment. But you might not have ever seen him become go through stress, so you've never seen that flighty. So like owners would ask, like, is the e-collar making my dog scared, or like what's it doing, or like, is it making my dog trying to run away? No, your dog was already flighty. It's just what's happening right now because your dog is stressed. Like I said, in the beginning, you'll see that. Over time, you'll start to see him realize, okay, the e-collar means we go for walks, off leash time, and all these fun activities, right? So usually, like with our dogs, our personal dogs, we whip out the e-collar, they get excited because they already know that means we're gonna go outside, we're gonna do something fun. But what else? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Yeah, this sounds great. So in terms of I guess like so we're definitely down to like do some training afterwards. I think you guys kind of like have like some videos or something after the 2-week thing where we practice, right? I think I missed that. But after the 2-week thing, what are we kind of expecting? So off leash training, like what are kind of the things that dogs work on and get down after the 2-week board and train?
Like, are you talking about the 3-week and the 4-week board and train?
No, the 2-week.
Okay, so after the 2-week, that's pretty much it. So you can't make a dog off leash trained. How do I say? I mean, personally, we can. So we can get them set up and everything for that, but it's mostly going to be just practicing and exposing, right? So like, for example, we don't have cats around here, right? So we don't know what he's going to do when he sees a cat, right? So it's about we're getting the foundation in for Knox, but the rest of it is kind of up to you guys of how you want to progress through it. There's a few phases to go through off leash. There's the short leash phase, the long leash phase, long leash dragging, and then no leash in an enclosed area, and then no leash in an unenclosed area. And the long leash phase is going to be your longest phase you're in, because that's technically called your proofing stage, right? So when you do the 2-week board and train, he's not going to be off leash ready, right? You first need to get familiar with the remote. That's why heel is a great exercise to practice, because everyone walks their dogs at least three times a day, right? So if you're actively having him in heel, you're actively using your remote. It's almost like you're creating muscle memory here, right? So then when the day you do have him off leash, this is like nothing. You just react to it quickly. So if you're looking for more control, more obedience, the 2-week is definitely going to be your go-to. Yeah. The 1 week is just us getting the foundation in, and then the rest is up to you. The 1 week is more like, I just want my dog to stop pulling and like just the basic stuff, and that's it. But if you are interested in off leash, the 2-week would be good for you, because then you're seeing how to progress and how to continue the progress to off leash. Yeah. Sure. With the 2-week board and train, or any of the board and train programs, you get what's called follow-up lessons. So with the 2-week, you get 4 hours of in-person time. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when clients do the board and train program, they think that like it's like, my car is broken, or like something's wrong with my car, and they turn in and they get it and like it's like a brand new car. That's not how the board and train programs work. That's not how dogs work. They're animals, right? So maybe you do the 2-week board and train, right? And then you come to visit him just to say hi before his last week starts, before the 2nd week. You might see that he's still the same, because one, the training will be tied to the trainers in the facility here at first, right? So with the follow-up lessons, we are transferring all the commands and all the obedience to you guys. So a common concern kind of going into that would be, we've heard from other clients say like, well, if I do the board train program, is he just going to listen to you when you're here, but then when you leave, is he going to be like back to normal? Like how's that going to work? ECOG is very transferable, so it doesn't really happen. So let's say you're watching the videos and our trainer Elias is operating at level 30 with the remote, right? The 30 is what's Knox is most responsive to and where he performs his best. When you press the button on 30, it's still 30, right? That doesn't change. So there's no like, well, she's stronger than him, that's why he listens to her, or if he's like stricter than her, right? It doesn't happen, because 30 is 30 for everyone. The feeling is still the same, so the response is going to be the same, right? It's just about like, us first teaching you the body languages and like the movements and how to hold your leash and all these different things, so that he knows that, okay, everything is the same with these guys, just like with Enrique, Elias, or Amanda, whoever. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Yep. Yeah. The 3-week and the 4-week programs will definitely get you closer to off leash. The 2 videos that come with so every week there's a video. The 3-week, the third video you get for that is us training Knox in the playpen with our daycare dogs. So he's learning that, okay, even if there's dogs around me, I still need to obey. The 4th week video would be us transferring the obedience to like Horner Park or Oz Park, one of the parks here, and we're showing you how the obedience applies to real life everyday activities. And if the dog is at that point of off leash, we do a little like off leash clip for you guys as well. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any other questions?
No, I think, yeah. So we're getting married, we're going on our honeymoon, so we won't be here. So we won't be able to visit him like during the 2-week if we do that. Is that an issue?
No, that's not, it's fine. That's just like that's optional, personal preference there if you want to see him or not. Some owners just want to do that because they've never been away from the dog for 2 weeks.
We probably would if we were here, but we won't be here.
Yeah. But no, that's just an option for you guys. It's not needed. And for your follow-up lessons, we do we do prefer or recommend that you do the follow-up lesson upon pickup. So like the day he's gonna leave, I recommend we should do a follow-up lesson just so we're making sure you're practicing correctly, because you know it's one thing to see it happen and everything, but it's like another thing to actually like, do it right.
I can definitely do that when I get back.
Yeah, so I recommend at least like a follow-up lesson there. But the rest of the follow-up hours, the 4 hours, like we can do like maybe an hour and a half or something like that, and the rest is up to you how you want to schedule that or when you want to schedule that. So let's say you're going through the training and you're finding that, oh wow, this is easy, I watched all the videos, I'm doing all the commands, everything's great, then you don't need to do a follow-up if you don't want to. Or maybe it's like, man, he's still jumping in the home, like what's going on here? Then you would reach out and then we can set up a session in the home where I'm teaching you, okay, these are the things you want to change or want to do in the home. Because like I said, in the facility, a lot of times we don't see a dog jump because of the amount of discipline that is already being applied as soon as they arrive, right? So they're thinking, man, I'm not going to try this stuff with them. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
What else? Follow-up lessons, board and train. Like I said, everything's recorded, so then you always have your videos to watch. And I'm assuming he's social, right? He's social. I think you guys said.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, I mean, I think this was great. I think you went through everything and answered all of our questions. I think what are kind of like just next steps for, I think it's May 9th through May 21st or something. Potentially.
Yeah. We'll have to work with the dates a little bit, but what are the next steps for like scheduling?
Yeah. So after this consultation, you're going to get a follow-up email from Elizabeth. Okay. Elizabeth is going to reach out to you, kind of giving you the programs we talked about, which were the ones I recommend, and then what's the word, with the prices. E-collar I recommend with the prices. Yep. We sell the model, right? So what a lot of times boarding trains and daycare and trains do is that they'll just say, we'll buy it from you guys, just pull off the shelf and we can get started. Yeah. You can also buy the model yourselves from us, and you can pick it up earlier, so then you can get kind of familiar with the tool, maybe even feel it, and then sometimes it gives clients more like okay, that's what it feels like, okay, I'm more comfortable with it. If you want, they're also going to send you a link to the program we use for our daycare and boarding services, which is called Ginger. Okay. In Ginger, that's where we hold our shot records and any important information. So you would need to turn in your shot records, and then a fecal exam that says negative. That's really important. So the faster you fill out that form, and you get everything sent in, the faster they can begin the billing and booking, stuff like that, which would be through Elizabeth. Okay. What else? Is he crate or kennel trained?
Yeah, he's
sweet. Nice. Anything else?
No, I think that's everything. I think we'll go ahead and work on. He's got all the shots, so I think he needs another negative fecal sample.
Got it. Okay. Other than that, if anything comes up, any other questions about the training, the e-collar, or any behavioral questions, email me. But other than that, just keep a lookout for Elizabeth's email, and then just fill out as needed, and then we'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Awesome.
Thank you so much. This was really helpful.
Yeah. Of course. Nice. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys.
Thank you. Take care.